Welcome to More Fanime. I am your fan of more anime, and today I will be ranking the Straw Hat crew from least favorite to favorite. That's right, I'm actually answering a question. A couple videos ago, I requested some questions to be answered from the More Fanime subscribers, and this question is actually from Bathory Dusk. I hope I'm saying that correctly. He says, how would you rank the Straw Hat Pirates from your favorite to least favorite? Please explain why. And I will be doing this from least favorite to most favorite, because I'd kind of like to end this video on a high note. I'm not saying I hate any member of the Straw Hat crew. Actually, I love all of them a lot. So it's really hard to do this. This is one of the first series or manga franchise that I have a hard time pinpointing my favorite character. I swear it can change from arc to arc. But it's usually the same 3 or 4 characters that kind of move up the ranks there. But they're all such lovable characters. They're all so well thought out and fleshed out characters. All of the members of the Straw Hats currently have had a lot of time to develop. They've all been given an arc of their own to show us who they are. They've all had an opportunity to fight a strong-ish or strong opponent to show us their resolve. So this is really hard to do, but I'm gonna do my best. We'll kick this bad boy off with my least favorite Straw Hat, and that's right, don't hate me, don't turn off the video, it's Tony Chopper. I'm sorry, I really am. He's just not my cup of tea. The only thing I can say that I really love, my favorite Chopper moment thus far, is when he debuts Monster Point at Enies Lobby. That shiz was intense. I was reading the manga the first time I saw it, the Monster Point form, and I leapt out of my seat and I was like, what is that? That looks like something out of a horror movie. It was a disturbing image. The thing that takes away from that amazing moment is how he has full control over it now for 3 minutes, as shown in the Fishman Island arc. And I feel like even though he had 2 years to train that, I think it would have been better if Oda allowed this form to be a, last resort technique that he uses. Or maybe the only thing I can think of is if he comes up with a even more powerful form that he could develop. I mean, that's the only, but I mean, it kind of lessens it because I thought this was so epic. And now that he's got full control over it, now that it's become kind of a gag form and no longer, it's still a threat, but it's no longer this last resort thing that he can do that makes him stronger than even the strongest members of the Straw Hat crew, or at least on that level. He gets on Zoro's level when he becomes Monster Point, at least as shown in Enies Lobby. He was pretty devastating. The only way they were able to stop him was throw him into the water because he's a Devil Fruit user, and it basically canceled out his rage. I really enjoyed that moment, and that is the only thing that I can positively say moment-wise for Chopper. Chopper's a really cool character, and he's a very integral part of the crew, but I seriously could not rank him any higher. Surprisingly, because there's a few people on this list that I saw before I actually saw them debut in the manga. I saw their picture and I was like, well, I'm not gonna like that cup of tea. So I am surprised that Chopper moved down the list. Like I said, when he turned Monster Point, it had my attention, and I feel like once he had that 2-year time skip, he kind of dropped the ball. Sometimes Chopper's just way too cutesy for me. My next in line, my next favorite Straw Hat member on this list, I believe this would be number 8 out of 9, is Brooke. Yes, Brooke, the newest member of the crew chronologically, if you're talking about Dressrosa, where I'm currently at. And Brooke is a surprise to me that I like him so much. Like I said, I love all of the Straw Hat characters. There's just a few that I have issues with, like Chopper's cuteness, and his, he doesn't have a big part of the crew. He doesn't have a big part of the story going forward. Whereas Brooke, I do believe, even has a more heartbreaking backstory than Chopper does. That's why I would put him above Chopper. He has one of the most heartbreaking backstories. He's got one of the coolest moments when we find out that he's connected to Laboon, who I didn't give a shiz about. Sorry if you're a big Laboon fan. Until I found out that he was connected to Brooke. And that blew me away. Brooke's sad backstory where he's singing and while all his crew members are dying one after the other. It's insane. And then he becomes a skeleton man, and he's able to keep such a positive demeanor even though his life was total garbage for a long period of time. He still looks on the bright side. He still looks at the world with a glass half full kind of guy. And I really appreciate his positivity. The first time I saw Brooke actually in the anime was in the movie One Piece Strong World, because I watched it right before I made it to, right after. Yes, I hadn't watched Thriller Bark yet in the anime. I had read it, but I hadn't watched it. So this is the first time I actually got to see Brooke in anime form with the dub. And one of the highlights of the beginning of Strong World is when there's these man-eating ants coming after Frankie and Nico Robin. And they eat a giant fish, I believe, and the fish they eat all of the meat off the fish, so it's just just bones. And Brooke walks by the boned fish, and he says, "He's like me now." And that, oh my God, it made me laugh, it made my wife laugh, it really set the tone for the movie, which was fan-freaking-tastic. So Brooke's debut for me was awesome in that aspect, and his debut here was awesome. He had a really good showing in his fight with Ryuma, who ends up being an awesome opponent for Zoro later. But Brooke's fighting style, by the way, is so cool. It's very simple. Now he has an ice sword, which is dope. He's got a lot more cool things fighting-wise that I appreciate than Chopper does. Chopper has a cool fighting style with the points and whatnot. But I do love the notch slash thing that Brooke does when he walks by an opponent, closes the sword, and they fall over in pain. I think that shit is awesome. And it means Brooke's pretty fast. Brooke is definitely my number 2. He could not rank any higher yet. I'm saying that now because I haven't had enough time with him to really know if he can go above and beyond the people that are on this list that have had so much development in front of my eyes, so much bonding, and I cannot rank Brooke any higher than this. But I do appreciate his character. The bone jokes don't get old. He's actually pretty hilarious. I do feel like he cannot be the resident pervert of the crew because that's Sanji's role, and I would say that Sanji kind of does it better, that whole aspect, but I do laugh every time he asks somebody to see their panties, because he does it so formally, and you can appreciate that, you know? So yeah, Brooke is my second least favorite. I don't know even how to say that. He is my next ranked, yes. So my next favorite Straw Hat would be, drum roll please, Nami. Oh, don't kill me. Don't kill me. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you how I feel. That's right, Nami. One of the first members of the Straw Hat crew chronologically. I mean, technically she didn't join join until after Arlong Park. So you could say that she isn't the first crew member or the second crew member. She's after Sanji. So she's actually down the list. But she was in, I believe, the first episode of the anime, which is cool. You get to see her running around stealing shit, and you see small tidbits of her personality, but you don't really know who she is until you get to Arlong Park. Yes, Arlong Park is still my favorite arc, I believe. I need to rank the arcs and see how I really feel, but Arlong Park is amazing. One of the best arcs. It is the arc that made me go, wait, maybe One Piece is the best anime/manga of all time. Like, what is this? I felt this energy from Arlong Park, and I really think it kicks off with the walk to Arlong Park, or when Luffy puts his hat on Nami, one of my favorite Nami moments, even though it's like a joint moment of the crew getting together to go defend Nami's name, the maiden of the crew, the first lady of the Straw Hat crew, someone who's integral to this group, and in a lot of ways takes the role of captain when Luffy is busy beating ass or when he's being a goofball. She will lead the crew when they're on the sea. She's one of the greatest navigators. If you consider the movies slightly canon, I mean, Shiki wanted her on his crew. People want Nami. Arlong wanted Nami, even though he is racist towards humans. He hates humans, but he respected Nami, and he treated her like one of his crew members, which when you find out Arlong's backstory is huge and shows what kind of respect he gave Nami, and I really like Nami, but she doesn't rank any higher than this. I'm sorry. I do like her better than I like Brooke. I do like her better than I like Chopper. I think that she's the best at her role as the navigator of the crew. Without her, the crew would have died way long ago. They would have not been able to make it to the Grand Line, especially if Zoro was, piloting the ship. But she is a navigator. That's one thing I love about One Piece. They have roles. Chopper's a doctor, and he does a great job at being a doctor. Brooke, being a singer, being the musician, is great and all, but they could live without a musician. But they could not live without their amazing navigator, Nami, who's got them out of some pickles. At the same time, she has been used as a damsel in distress a few times, which puts the crew in shitty situations. But, like I said, she's from her arc, the Arlong Park arc, is one of my absolute favorites in this entire series. It is the arc that put this show on the map. In contention with the best anime/manga of all time is this arc. It is the launching point. This or the Baratier, but I think this is it. All the main members of the crew were there. They all get to show us what One Piece is about. And the trust that Luffy showed in Nami, even though she hadn't actually joined the crew yet, you start to learn a little bit about how much Luffy cares for the people that he sails with. And he cares for these crew members. And he wanted Nami on his crew already. He already saw her as a crew member. You saw how far Luffy would go. He would put his dreams aside and help these people. And we saw how far he would go with Nami here. And I love that. I think Nami's relationship with each member of the crew is very touching and endearing, and I love it. My next favorite member of the Straw Hat crew would be, and don't shoot me, because this guy could, it's God Usopp. That's right, Usopp. Go D Usopp. This guy, the big fibber of the crew. This guy is beloved by the anime fans that I can see in the comments. He is sometimes a walking meme. Not as bad as Buggy, but sometimes Usopp is one of the most inspiring characters on the crew. I love that about him. Sometimes he has some of the most epic moments. Like recently, in my read, in Dressrosa, he became God D Usopp. He was able to shoot across Dressrosa and re-knock out Sugar with observation hockey, something he just unlocked, which is pretty epic, and that's just a recent thing. He was able to launch the handcuffs to Nico Robin. He was able to become Zoro's sword, literally. He had one of the best fights in the series, arguably the best fight, at least emotionally, against Luffy, the captain. It's very rare, honestly, that we get to see these members of the crew fight each other, which I appreciate, because you see that all the time in other anime. They usually, first thing they do is have every member of the main cast fight each other once or twice, or at least fight the MC before they can actually be considered a member of the main cast. But Usopp's great. I am surprised how high he ranks, honestly. When I first saw him, his arc, Syrup Village arc, isn't the best arc. Right after it, you get the Baratier and Arlong Park, which are leagues above Syrup Village arc. The villain ain't great. He's not terrible. Kuro, he's cool, but, he really set apart. He changed the standard for villains in a way, because up until that point, all the villains were big and scary men, or Alvida, or they had a crazy power. Well, this guy didn't have a devil fruit ability, if I remember correctly, and he was just really fast. He almost kind of showed us what super speed can be in the One Piece world. He's not terrible, and we're not here to talk about Kuro. Maybe down the line, maybe later. But Usopp's initial arc wasn't amazing. Usopp kind of comes off as annoying. I know that's his character. He has a very unappealing design, but you learn to love it, and you learn to love Usopp for who he is. He's had the best character development in the story so far. Look at him. Look how far he's come from when we first met the guy. He's had some of the best moments. The dude got hit with a bat and it cracked his skull, and he kept on going. That's insanity. This guy, we're going to find out down the line that he really does have some crazy blood in him. His father's ancestors are somehow connected to something, and we're going to find out that. We're going to be like, oh, okay, that's why he was able to survive this or that. Because, man, is he a lucky guy. He gets very lucky a lot, and I love it. I love when he pushes past his fears, which he is very scared all the time, as seen with his fight with Perona. One of my favorite fights as well. His fight with Perona really made Perona one of my favorite villains. She is fantastic, but only because of the launching point of her fight with Usopp. Usopp being so negative was so amazing that her abilities did not work on him. And the rest of the crew relied on Usopp then and there to step up, which is pretty cool. I really appreciate that. That was an amazing moment, his fight with Perona, and it might be my favorite Usopp moment, is his fight with Perona. It was great. Or his fight with Luffy, or just the argument with Luffy was pretty great. And then him apologizing and rejoining the crew in an emotional way. Him getting the Giants to turn on the Marines and join the crew for a hot minute and help them out was dope. His connection to Giants is cool. Usopp's a dope character. This is just where he ranks, and I'm sorry about that. He's cool. I appreciate Usopp for what he does and what he is, and he does a lot for the crew, even when he's not asked to do it. Now, my next favorite crew member is... yeah! That's right. Bow, bow, chicka, chicka. Frankie. Yes, Frankie is beloved to me at this point in this series. He is fantastic, and I think I figured out that he was above Usopp for me in the Dressrosa arc, actually. Because I was starting to get frustrated with Frankie when he kept busting out his mech armor, which is admittedly cool, but it seemed like it hindered him. It hindered him from having an amazing brawl belt because Frankie's a beefy boy who can handle himself without that armor. He's got the strong right and the weapons left that just gets me hyped as all heck. So yes, Frankie is always funny. I love his poses. I love his attitude towards life. His fight with Senior Pink, which I just recently read, inspired the shit out of me, and it really pushed him over the edge. I really got more pumped for that than I did the God D Usopp moment. But Frankie is hilarious, and I really thought I was going to hate the guy. I really did. When I first saw him, I'm like, oh my god, a fucking cyborg in the pirate world. What does this come to? And we just came from Skypiea, and I'm thinking, what is this? What kind of technology is this existing in One Piece? It's supposed to be about pirates. I was kind of frustrated. But then I realized how great Frankie is, and how I should just accept these characters because they're amazing. And Frankie's backstory is also awesome. With Tom, the shipbuilder, I thought that was the shiz. And honestly, I want to know more about Frankie's backstory. He's supposedly like an orphan of a pirate crew or something. Like he annoyed or some shit or some shiz. And I want to know more. I feel like he's probably related to some major pirate that we're going to find out down the line. So he could move up even higher. Frankie's pretty dope, and he can really have some emotional moments. And just his attitude towards life makes me feel good about life. If I could be in that mindset like him, if I could be a stand-up Chad, as the young kids might say, like Frankie, I would. Frankie's dope. And he can change his hair now. I actually really like the shaved hair look. He's changing it all the time now, but I really liked that. It's different. You don't really see a lot of shaved heads in anime. They're either cue ball or they have spiky hair, and I appreciated the dope shaved hair look that he was going with. And I'm actually starting to get used to his new bulky shoulder form, especially after his brawl with Senior Pink. Now, this is the top 4 members of the Straw Hat crew. This is where the best of the best are for me. These were the hardest 4 to rank because I love them all. And I really, really love this next one. My 4th favorite member of the Straw Hat crew. That's right. You're hearing me correctly. It's Sanji Vinsmoke. I know. I'm a cook. That's my day job. I knew the moment I met Sanji, I was going to love him in some way, shape, or form. His attitude, his debut was fantastic in the Baratier arc, which is just one of the best arcs as well in early One Piece. The debut of Mihawk, all these amazing things. The fight with Jin. Sanji's got a dope fighting style. His kicks. Sanji is so badass. Like, Sanji was actually the first character I got a tattoo of. I got his Jolly Roger tattoo on my shoulder because it's a really cool design for a cook, which I am in my day job. So I love Sanji, and I can bond with him in the food aspect, which I think he needs to cook more in the actual anime and manga. That is his job, and he does his job well. He's an integral member of the crew, and I love that he's one of the strongest members of the crew. Oda decided to make the cook, who could have literally just been in the background watching the ship, kind of like Chopper ends up doing, or Brooke and Nami sometimes end up doing. But he lets Sanji, the cook, be one of the strongest members of the crew. And I love and appreciate that. And you get the Food Wars kind of feeling when he does get to cook, which is cool. This guy is epic. He has some of the best lines in the series. One of his lines is like, I thought I heard a girl's tears hitting the ground, so I had to come save the day. He's pretty epic. One of my favorite moments in the entire series is when he goes and sacrifices himself and gets shocked nearly to death by Enel, or Eneru, whatever you want to call him, by saving Usopp and Nami. Last minute, threw them off the ship, saved them, got lit, And then his cigarette was lit by the lightning. He's like, thanks, I need the light. Oh my god, that shit got me hyped. It was one of the best, and I honestly would have been okay at that moment if Sanji died in that coolness. But I'm happy he didn't, because he's awesome. And I love Sanji. I think he's great. And I really wish he could be my number one. But he can't. Not now. Maybe later. Maybe later. But I gotta put this guy as my number 3. Roanoa Zoro. Don't shoot me. I know. He's not number 1. Roanoa Zoro. I love Roanoa Zoro. He has literally the best fights in the series. Hands down. He has some of the most epic lines. His whole thing with Usopp leaving the crew and him telling Luffy, like, hey man, if you let Usopp on the crew but without him apologizing, I'm going to either leave or become captain. Or challenge you to become captain. Which is epic. Zoro is the right-hand man to Luffy. Like, if the whole crew decides to disband, I wouldn't be surprised if Zoro and Luffy just keep wandering the world together as long as they can while they're alive. Because they are best of friends. Zoro literally almost died for Luffy at Thriller Bark when he took Luffy's pain from Kuma. And didn't tell anybody about it. And didn't want anybody to tell anybody about it. He is the man's man. I really didn't want to like Zoro when I first saw him. He uses a weird fighting style, I thought. Who puts a sword in their mouth? Well, Zoro does. And he makes it look awesome. His fight with Kaku at the Enies Lobby can arguably be said to be better than Luffy's fight with Lucci. That was an amazing battle. His fight with Ryuma, don't get me started, was not long enough. But it was epic as all heck. Zoro finally had an amazing swordsman to fight and his fight with Mihawk, which was also short, but Mihawk leagues above ant like Zoro at the time. Got his ass kicked by Mihawk, who was kind of like the Itachi of One Piece. Better than Itachi. He debuts and he's way stronger than anybody here. Really sets the tone for the series. And it's against Zoro, who puts his sword in the air and he tells Luffy, I will never lose again. And he proceeds to lose again. But he doesn't lose often. He kicks ass. He takes names. He's never scared. He never runs away. He doesn't want a scar on his back to show that he ever ran away. The only opponent to ever really take him down other than Mihawk, I guess, would be Perona, when she used her Negati shiz on him and he was unable to fight her. That was the only weakness he had so far. But he is a legend among legends. And I would be ever surprised if Zoro ever leaves my top 3 of the Straw Hat crew, because he's that epic. How can you not love Zoro? Zoro is probably, arguably, one of the most popular characters in this series. He will be remembered long beyond the time that this series ends. He is a legend in anime. And I think he's great. But he's not in my top 2. This is where it comes down to the top 2. Who do you think it's going to be? That's right. My number 2. My second favorite Straw Hat, who has stolen my heart in anime and is my favorite female anime character of all time. Can you guess who it is? It's Nico Robin. That's right! Nico Robin has the best backstory in the series, and arguably the most the saddest backstory. You could say Brooke, but I'm going to say that it might be not Nico Robin, because she lost everybody, even though they were all a bunch of dicks, but she lost everybody she grew up with. She lost all these amazing archaeologist people that helped her out in her town that just wanted to learn, and they were executed for just wanting to learn. Her whole life was shitty, pretty much. Whereas Brooke at least had some really good years up until the last 50 or so when he died and came back. But before that, it was epic and awesome, and he had a great adventure and whatnot with his friends that all died in front of him. But Nico Robin had a very sad life and never really truly got to be happy, and has one of the most epic moments in the entire series. When Nico Robin says, "I want to live," it gives you chills down your spine. Because it's sad, but it also is inspiring, and it shows just how much she really loves the crew that she found in the Straw Hat crew. Okiji says she's always the one to leave these factions because she doesn't let people in anymore. But Luffy found a way to break her icy heart, and her debut as part of Baroque Works, epic. Arguably, Baroque Works is the best villain crew so far in the series, in my opinion. I need to do a ranking of my favorite villain crews, the whole crew, not just the main villain, but usually they have a gang behind them, unless you're Hawkeye Mihawk. And I think Crocodile is arguably one of the best villains in the entire series. And his number two, my number two, who isn't actually his literal number two, that's Bon Clay, but his second in command, sort of, was Nico Robin. Miss Alt's Sunday, I believe. I really love Nico Robin. She has some of the best team-up fights in the series. When she teams up with Chopper at Thriller Bark and does that crazy multiple leg suplex, or when she teams up with Frankie and summons giant hand wings out of nowhere, when she snaps people's necks with her crazy hand ability, her ability to use those hands and everything else that she can summon. She can literally summon a clone of herself, which I still don't know how far that can go, like how much damage this clone can actually do. But that's pretty epic. She can make a false shadow clone, basically. Her hand gimmick is so unique, and I love that. I love that she's out there being the assassin of the crew. She literally could beat Sanji because he would never fight her. So she is technically stronger than Sanji, but so would Nami. Nico Robin is the best female anime character of all time. And that's my opinion only. I think that she has a great personality. I think that she has a great fighting style. The only thing I think she's missing that would put her possibly in the top, my number one, would be an epic battle against a main villain. Her beating Spandam's ass was epic. She should have killed him. She broke his fucking back. I think that it would have been great if she killed Spandam, and that was the only character she killed like that in cold blood, and I think I'd be okay with it. Her relationship with Chopper is cute. Her relationship with Luffy and the rest of the crew, she is a friend to all. It took a while for Zoro to come, across. Honestly, if I was to ship somebody with Nico Robin, it would be Zoro. I think they would make a great pair, personally. I think that she would be the parts of Zoro's brain that he doesn't necessarily use. She can fill those holes, and then he can keep her safe from very terrible people that want to hurt her. Her backstory is insanely sad, and my favorite, actually, of the entire crew. My favorite backstory is Nico Robin's backstory. Die she. But Nico Robin is not my number one Straw Hat. And I bet you can guess who my number one is. And he really hasn't left the number one spot for long. Moments he'll leave. Moments. When badass things happen with Zoro, Sanji, or Nico Robin, and they'll jump up to the top for a hot minute. But my number one ranking Straw Hat member, the man, the myth, the future legend, the future king of the pirates, Luffy. Yes, Luffy. Oh my god. This is my first ever favorite main character in any manga/anime. I am a side character guy. That's who I am. Mr. Perfetto. Mr. Morfetto. I am a side character guy. I'm a Piccolo or Tien guy from Dragon Ball. I'm a Rock Lee or Shikamaru guy from Naruto. I'm a Renji guy from Bleach. I'm a Hiei guy from Yu Yu Hakusho. I don't love main characters. They're usually overpowered. They're usually gifted in some way that they don't have to work as hard as the next person. But Luffy is not like that. Luffy is the perfect main character. Yes, he has the dumb protagonist gimmick that he uses amazingly, and it's always hilarious. He is a minded character that wants to have epic adventures, epic fights, and he's simple. But sometimes when things get really emotional, you'll get to see how much he cares for his crew, and how we get to see him develop, actually, through this series. Like his moment where he realized he couldn't just let Usopp on the crew. He had to grow up there. He had to kick his ass. He had to fight Usopp. He was challenged for captain of the Mary, and he had to do it, even though he knew that ship was done for, and he was going to give it to Usopp. Anyway, Luffy is a great captain. He's learning along with us. As we're learning about the Grand Line, he's learning about the Grand Line. We are on this adventure with Luffy. When Luffy smiles, we smile. When Luffy's mad, we're mad. Luffy is a special character. If I was going to compare him to another anime character, I would say he reminds me a lot of Goku, but not the current Goku in Dragon Ball Super, which I really don't like. The Goku from the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai. If you haven't watched that tournament, please watch that tournament. That is the peak Goku, in my opinion. He is confident, but he's not overly cocky. He worked for everything he had up until that point. Yes, he was gifted naturally from being a crazy Saiyan alien baby, but this was the perfect personality I liked from Goku, and it seems like Oda kind of designed Luffy to be like that Goku, the teenage Goku, if you will. He's not necessarily fully adult yet. He hasn't had kids yet. But this is the Luffy. That's where I feel that vibe. That was the first time I really liked Goku, when I saw him in that tournament. But then he becomes a Super Saiyan and it all kind of gets kerfuffled. But Luffy is developing perfectly, in my opinion. I love every fight he's in. Anytime he does a gum pistol, it makes me happy. His most recent move that I really like is his gum UFO thing. He is great. His fighting style is goofy as all heck, but he makes it badass. And I really believe that to be true. Luffy is dope AF. I really like Luffy a lot. He might be my favorite anime character of all time. I don't want to say that yet because the story is not over. But he is fantastic. And I would be shocked if he ever leaves this #1 spot. I will re-rank the Straw Hats at some point again, especially if it changes. But right now, Luffy is my #1. He's the #1. And I hate being like, oh, the main character is my favorite character. I'm not that guy. Really, if you ask me about any other anime, you're like, My Hero Academia, I would say Aizawa. Or Best Jeanist. I like the side characters. But One Piece is so good at building all of the characters that it was so hard to say that even just Luffy, who is the main character, who would usually get all of the screen time, who would usually get all of the spotlight, Oda lets his other crewmates, his other side characters breathe. He lets them have their own arcs. Gosh, Luffy's whole adventure through the Marineford saga was so amazing. And he didn't even have his crew with him. But him alone with a whole cast of support members, mostly villains from the past, were able to keep me entertained. And probably my favorite saga in One Piece is the Marineford saga. But who would say otherwise, honestly? The only contender otherwise would probably be the Water 7 saga. But either way, Luffy's charging into Enies Lobby was one of my favorite moments in the series. And even though they just went over the plan 5 times, he was like, yeah, sure. He is the D&D character personality that I would be if I was in a D&D campaign. I would be the guy that would listen to the plan, but I already have my own plan, and I would probably just go with my own plan unless lives were literally at stake. And, you know, I'd learn as I went, making mistakes, putting people in jeopardy that Luffy has done. Not as bad as like Goku, where he put the whole universe on the line in some crazy galactic tournament, where I feel like Luffy wouldn't do that. He would choose his crew over the One Piece. He would choose any member of his crew, or even people, he would probably choose an old lady on the street over the One Piece, or being king of the pirates. Their life means something more to him. When he told Boa Hancock to turn these Amazonians back to, you know, flesh and blood that were turned to stone, and she offered to give him a ride back to his crew, the one thing he wanted more than anything at the time, he said no. Without even questioning it, he told her to turn him back to flesh and blood. And he said he'll figure out something else. And if he doesn't, he'll die trying. He is great. Luffy doesn't... I wish I could have Luffy's attitude, actually, towards life. Except when he was completely devastated when Ace died, which is probably the saddest moment in the series. And one of the most epic moments that changed everything. That really sparked the second half of One Piece. It was Ace's death. Their connection meant a lot. Luffy's fucking amazing. But I'm going to end this video here. My number one favorite is Luffy. Let's go down the list one last time. From favorite to least favorite. Luffy, number 1. Nico Robin, a strong number 2. Zoro, number 3. An absolute legend in anime. Number 4, Sanji. A character who I can literally see becoming number 1 at some point, but he's just not there yet for me. He's missing that one thing. Number 5, my boy Frankie. This guy inspires me. His attitude towards life is inspiring. It makes me happy to see him be happy. It makes me happy to see him do his thing. My only thing I don't like about the guy is his overabundant use of mech armor in the early parts of the New World. But hopefully that's over. Number 6 would be Nami. That's right, Nami the Navigator. I love Nami. I absolutely love Arlong Park, which she's a big part of. Nami's fan-freaking-tastic. Number 7 would be Brooke. Correct. That's Brooke. Number 7. Man, I might have my numbers off. Is there only 8 members of the crew? Either way, Brooke's in line here after that. Then, my least favorite member of the crew. I'm sorry. It's the Dr. Chopper. He's fantastic. He really is. I like Chopper. I really do. But he's my least favorite member of the crew. But I love the Strawhat crew, and most of them are more precious to me than some of the best characters from some of the top anime in all the land. But I appreciate these characters more than I love characters like Vegeta from Dragon Ball, who people love to death, who's fantastic. He really is great. But I love even the smallest characters from One Piece because Oda's such a good storyteller, a character developer. This has been More Fanime. What do you think of my ranking here? Do you like it? Do you love it? Where would you shuffle them around? I'll talk to you later.